Welcome back to another episode. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at the maintenance it takes to keep these cars going. And this is why it's good to keep maintenance on these cars, and because in today's episode we find a major problem with this car. So let's just get straight into it. So the first thing you want to do is don't leave it outside in the rain on a trailer for 2 weeks, because all the water, as you can see, gets all over it, makes it rusty, corrodes it. It's not good for all the joints, because you want all these to be nice and free, because then you need to go over it with paint, you need to double check everything. It just looks a mess, it's not great. So what I like to do is check all suspension bolts, make sure they're all tight. Literally every nut and bolt you go over, because the chassis are just all metal, there's not really any rubber bushes, anything like that. So with the vibrations and all the hits and stuff, bolts do tend to come loose. And a big thing that does come loose, these top bolts and the bottom bolts, they always seem to come loose. So it's a good thing to keep on top every time you've been out in the car, to check all your bolts, everything, make sure your oil levels, everything's good. Otherwise it just prevents stuff happening when you're at the track. So it's good to stay on that. We have found a major problem, so it's a good thing that we're doing this. Otherwise we wouldn't have seen that problem, we'd have got to the racetrack and had to sort it there. So that's if we had the bits to do it there. So it's a good thing we've seen it now. So for all your universal joints, like your rose joints and stuff like that, I like to use universal maintenance lubricant. A lot of people do tend to use oil and stuff like that, but I find unless you wipe it off, you get debris and everything in there, and it just wears them down quicker. So what I like to do is before every meeting or every time I come back from the track, give it a little spray, work it so it gets in there, give it a wipe around the edges just so stuff doesn't stick to it. Then we'll shred it, give the panhard bar a quick wipe down, same with the back one. Give it a spray, give it a wipe. Well, you work it, then give it a wipe. Sausage. I've got quite a lot of oil coming out from the overflow. I put 3 litres of oil in it because that's what Polly told me to put in. And when we got to Swaffham on that test day, it kept leaking out just in transit. So, well, it was leaking out more on the way to Swaffham, but yeah, I had 3 litres in it when I was racing at Skeggy and stuff, and it weren't leaking that bad. So I don't know why that's doing that. You just got to give them all a feel, just feel them all, check any play in them. One of them does, yeah, this one does have quite a lot of play in, so obviously that's worn out. So that's not any good, so we'll need to order some new rose joints and get that sorted. But this is why it's good to keep maintaining of your car, so you find problems like this and you're not having issues when you're at the track. But you go around them all, suspension, everything, spray that maintenance spray in, work it so it's actually getting underneath, and then give it a wipe so you don't get all crap stuck to it. These were all brand new, but being on an open trailer, and especially Skeggy with the sea air, you do have all the salt and stuff sticks to it and all the crap from the road, and it does go like that. So it's not ideal, but if you have an enclosed trailer, you won't have that problem, and you won't need to, well, you will be on top of it, but it just won't look all tatty and stuff like that. Like, they were brand new before I went to the Skeggy meeting, and it's like that, so it doesn't take long for it to happen. Another thing to look out for is, obviously this is a bit kinked, but just check all your welds everywhere, because obviously they do take a battering. You just check all your welds, make sure you ain't got any welds broken. To be fair, this bumper needs replaced. It's seen a bit much. It's a shame it's not the front bumper that needs replaced, isn't it? We're getting there with the pace though, so that's good. Your oil, we like to do an oil change on the car every 3 to 4 meetings. You change the filter, spark plugs, oil. It's just because obviously the engine is going through quite a lot, so it's just good to keep good velocity oil in there. Gearbox oil, because it's a sealed unit, we don't ever really change that. I might change it once a season, or anytime the gearbox needs to come out, we might replace it if it needs it. The diff oil, don't really ever need to change that. We change that whenever we take the diff out to get it recalibrated, re-torque, sorry, which we're gonna check it today. So this tyre was the brand new one that we put on just to bed in. It's held its own, it's quite good, but this one was brand new a meeting ago, and then we went to Swaffham to do the testing, and you can just see it just absolutely chews the sidewall. This sidewall's good, look how much meat's on that. But this one, it's just worn right down, there's even a chunk taken out of it. And that's with running the pressure that ain't low, because obviously everyone will say, oh, you need to pump the pressure up and whatnot, but I have pumped it up and it still wears it right down. So they're not great. I know a lot of them do camber. When they buff the tyres, they'll camber it so this side's lower, just to give it that edge to help with the sidewall. What I'm going to show you now is how to check the poundage, or how I check the poundage in your diff without taking it out and whatever. So jack one side of the car up so the wheel's off the ground. You get your torque wrench. So last time it was set at 36. I don't know if you can see that. So when Polly done it, he put it to 48 pounds, which is quite high for tarmac. You don't really want that. But we'll check, see what it's at now, and until it starts beeping, we'll just keep going down and down until we see what it's at. Roughly, you want it, well, we'd like it between 20 to 25. That's, I'd say, perfect for tarmac. Other people might run it differently, but I'll show you what it comes out as. So you just put it on, that's on loose, bloody hell. And then, right, so it didn't beep. I'll turn it down. I'll go 24 pounds. Nope. 21. Nope. 19. So that's reading 19.6 pounds. So that'll still do for a meeting, and then we'll have to take it out and get it re-torqued. Well, a new shim put in it to re-torque it back up. But they did say with the gripper diffs that they do wear down quite quick, but then they'll sit at a certain poundage for a little bit, which I'm assuming it has sat around 25 for a little bit, because last time I checked it, it was 36. And I did check that 2 meetings ago, maybe a meeting ago, plus obviously we've done the whole day at Swaffham. So I think that'll be good for one more meeting, and then we'll have to get the diff out, and then that'll be a whole nother video. But we do have a major problem going on with the front, so I'll take you and we'll show you that now. So before we get into the major problem going on with both sides on the front, I've had people asking me how much it costs and stuff to go race and whatnot. So when it comes to the F2s or short circuit, if your car's running good, everything like that, all it is a tank of fuel, depending on where you're racing. Tank of fuel in your van, or your transport, your bus, whatever. I know some of them, well, when we used to run the truck with the Arctic trailer and take 2 race cars with us, it used to be nearly £1,000 every time we went racing, just with fuel and travelling and all the rest. But with this, with a trailer and a van, say 70, 80 quid in fuel, and then with Briscoe, you have you get a driver's license, a race license, and I think it's £110. I've just put it up to 120. And then when you go to the track, you only pay £1. You can get a mechanic's license as well. I think that's roughly the same price, and then you'd pay £1 for them as well. But I don't have a mechanic's license for my old man, so we have to pay £20. Yeah, £20. Well, £21. So I think the £1 goes into a fund thing for the Briscoe people. I'm not 100% sure, I ain't actually asked about it, but it is good. Whereas like in Outlaw, you still have to pay your entrance, even though you've got a license, but a license in Outlaw might only be 40, 50 quid. And then you go to the track and you still got to pay, say £20 a head, including yourself to race. Usually, like when we used to go Arena Essex, it used to be, no, was it Arena or Swaffham? They used to, a driver and mechanic will get in for the price of a driver, so that was good. But obviously, damage-wise, we took this Swaffham when we very first got the car just to see what it was like, and we had a massive problem. We obliterated the car on the fence, the whole bumper was caved in, the whole side of the car was smashed up, and to get that done, we done the new bumper ourselves, to get a whole new nerf rail and then weld it on ourselves. But even then, when we got the nerf rail with all the bars put onto it, we had to chop some of the bars because they didn't match to the chassis, so we had to make some ourselves as well. So I think for a whole nerf rail, I think it was £125, and then we had to get all new arms, top arms, bottom arms, your camber arms, your steering rack arms, all the rose joints, all that malarkey. I think in total it come to nearly £400. So every time you go in the wall, it's costing you, in theory, as long as your nerf rail's okay, about £300. A good thing is we have inboard suspension. If it was outboard, so inboard means inside the chassis rail. If it was outboard, we'd have snapped the shocker, snapped the chassis, suspension arm as well. So that was good that it's inboard because it didn't damage the top arm on here. So I think it's the rocker arm, I think they're called. When we made the front bumper ourselves, I think it only cost 80, 90 quid for the steel. And obviously we had enough to make more bumpers up, more nerf rails up if we wanted to. So that 80, 90 quid, if you know what you're doing, you know how to get the angles, you know how to get the bends and the hoop and whatnot, it's worth doing yourself if you got a welder and whatnot. If not, £125 I think it is for the nerf rail. It's not a lot of money for a nerf rail. Like in Briscoe, you might go through quite a few bumpers and nerf rails, so it'd be cheaper if you could do it yourself. But I think with Outlaw, the likelihood of you changing the nerf rail, it's not as likely as in Briscoe. So that's where the financial side of it comes in. Like with Briscoe, you do have to keep buying stuff because you keep getting fenced. You're fencing people, it's a lot more aggressive. The arms, there's a lad I know and he's just started making all the top arms and whatnot himself. So we're going to probably try and work out a deal with that just to save some money on them as well when we need them. So now it's time to see what the big problem is. Can anyone guess it? Write down in the comments what it is. And if you haven't already and you've made it this far, please give it a subscribe, give it a like, comment what you think the issue is. Let's get it off and show you. Not good, but let me get you a closer look. You see the score marks where it's been bedding and rubbing onto the new disc with the new pads I've put in. So obviously that's creating friction, which when I did put them on at the track, I spun the wheel up and it spun freely, but that isn't no good. Look, it's solid there. So that's just creating resistance on the race car that you don't want. You can see where it's got hot. It's went a bit, hang on. It went a bit blue on this lip here. So that has been getting hot. So I'm going to show you how to not have that problem. It's on both sides. So the other side will need done what we do on this side, we'll do on that side. So what we need to do is strip the caliper down, get this pad out, because I think the back is all good. It's just the outside caliper that needs done. I'd rather do what I got to do on the pad than the disc, because obviously you want the disc to be as strong as possible. The pads you can get away with doing little bits to and it's not as excessive, whereas you crack a disc, that's your race day over. It's just for anyone out there, get a screwdriver in there that don't know how to do it, pop that off, get your Allen key bits, take this part off, bottom one. Sometimes you don't need to take both of them out, you can just undo one and then it can swing out. Another thing with the cost of racing and whatnot, it's like, I don't know if anyone's seen the Top Gear where Jeremy Clarkson and they do the rallycross at Lydden Hill, and I think they do it for 500 quid or something, but on there it doesn't, like, and they're like, oh, you can go rallycross racing for as cheap as £500. It's, no you can't, because you've got your helmet, your race suit, your overalls, well yeah, all the fireproof stuff. You got to get your license. You got to pay your entrance fee. Like our entrance fees are like what, £40, whatever, to race. It's like the BMW 1 Series, the circuit car that we got. That's, I think the Silverstone one that he's entering, I think that's just shy of £500. Snetterton, I think that was just, I think that was like £450 you had to pay. So the entrance fees just to that, and what, you might get wiped out straight away. It's like the people that are on the British touring car lineup, like the legends and stuff like that. They're, I think it's like £1,500 entrance fee, and you might only do one lap. Like, it's insane. It just depends what sort of sport you go into. But I find with short circuit, you can see everything. You can see the whole track. You can see what's going on. Whereas circuit, unless you're watching it on telly, you just see them go down the straight, or if you're lucky and you get a part of the track, you can see about half the track, and then you got to wait for them to come by again. Whereas short circuit, you don't miss a thing. It's good. Right, now that's off, just prop that up out of the way, and then yeah, you can see where it's been grinding against. So what we're going to do is, where is it? Get the grinder, and just coast over that and run that down a bit so we don't have this groove going on. Because it's better to wear this down, because of the surface area on this ain't going to crumble. Whereas this, if I grinded that down to how much that has ground into, if I do that across the whole face, it's just going to weaken it and give it a massive chance of cracking, which I'd much rather replace pads than discs, because, well, to be fair, the pads ain't cheaper, but they're a lot. Like, a lot of people will get a cutting disc and put whole, like, grooves in them, or instead of it being a whole section, they might chop that end off, so it's just this bit, so it's less braking force and whatnot, if they want more braking on the rear and stuff like that. A lot of them do just run cheap pads, but we've decided to go with PBS and the Ferrados. We've literally got Ferrado there, PBS here, and then mirrored the other side. So let's just grind this down till we're happy it's good clear. If you have a vice and stuff, use a vice, don't do what I did. I'm just silly. Okay, so it's still rubbing, so we still need more off it. Just a little bit more off here. That's a lot better. So then just put that back on. You don't want to nip it all the way up, because if you do that and the bottom one ain't in, you're not going to get it in. You're going to have to loosen the top one. Don't go OTT with them, with your tightening. Just nip them. Well, nip and then a little bit more. Last thing you want is these coming loose, but that's that. And don't forget to put this back on. That just keeps it sorted. Oh no. Or maybe it's not the same. This is worse. So, can you tell me what the problem is? The bush has come out of the caliper. That's not good. So, this is going to need a new bush pushed in. Hey, look at that. That is not good. Look at that. This is why you do maintenance. That's shocking. So we'll take that off. We'll grind the pad anyway, but that's going to need a new caliper put on it. I don't know what calipers they are. I think they're BMW Mini. Anyone tell me in the comments? If you know what that is, let me know, because I need one. Well, I actually need one for the inside rear as well, because we're not actually running a caliper. We've got an E36 on here for the rear. I need one for that inside. So if anyone knows which one I should put on the inside, that would be best. Write it down in the comments and let me know what this caliper is as well. I think it's the same over that side. I'll put the caliper back on just so I can put the wheel on as we're on the trailer until I get another caliper. And whilst we're doing this, yeah, right, I don't know whose idea this was. I know it's probably for weight reduction and whatever, yeah, but it is shite. That's all I can call it. It's not a good thing. It's not a bonus or anything. Yeah, it's just pure shite. Like shite on my face, you know. Right. So anytime we need to bleed the fluid, this is what we're working with. That little reservoir there. That is it. That's not even a cap from your .4 bottle to fill that. So I know it's probably for weight reduction and stuff, but it's shite. So whoever designed that or thought that was a good idea, it's not, it's shite. Because every like 2 or 3 races I have, I'll just pop that off and just check, because if there is a slight leak, that empties quick and you're going to lose braking faster than a normal brake reservoir. So that needs sorted. We need to change that because that's a shocking idea. But as for now, let's just crack on, get this off, grind that pad. Now obviously this should be in there. Which way? That way. Should be in there like that. A lot of people would probably just push that back in, but obviously it's worn, so I'm not going to do that. It would get you out the shite if you were at the track. You could continue racing, but we're not at the track, so that one seems alright, but I'm not going to buy a bush. I'm just going to buy a whole new caliper, so in that way you know nothing's going wrong. And when I was on about the swatham, when the whole car got obliterated, it was because of this brake feed pipe right here. The actual bolt on it come undone whilst we were going round, and that reservoir emptied fast. No brake fluid, smashed the fence. So just for that little problem caused a hole in your pocket, really. So that's why we do this maintenance on the cars. Otherwise it costs you a pretty penny. See, that's actually created a groove and now it's hard to get out again. You see where it's been rubbing. Grind that down. Make sure you put it back in the right way. Ow. Yeah, that's a lot better. That's a lot better. Sweet. How many of you were waiting for me to grind my hand? I bet a lot of you were. Like I said, we're going to put this back on for now. And if you don't believe that I've changed it, come see me at the track and have a look. Hold me to my word. But I wouldn't race like that. If I was at the track, I'd put the bush back in. But like I said, we're not at the track, so I don't see why you'd go to the track and that'll probably happen again. Like, what's the point? And the reason that come undone when I was testing, again, is you got to keep on top of the maintenance. All the vibrations, the banging about, everything like that creates bolts to come loose. And the last thing you want is your brake caliper bolt to come loose, because it hurts. I can tighten that one up because this one just slides in. Look at that, stupid. But I'm just putting it back together so I don't lose any parts whilst I wait to know what caliper that is, get some new ones. Hopefully it comes with new slider pins as well. Otherwise, with the water and stuff, the rain hitting it, it will just corrode it. So that'll need changed or cleaned up at least. Get them two in and just pull that one out at the top. That's the easiest way to put them back in. I know a lot of people struggle with these, but I just put that in there first, click that on, hold that whilst you're pushing that one in, and then just come up to the top and just force that in, and then it holds it steady. Yeah, you can see the caliper wobbling. When I turn it, watch the caliper. Oh, I can't, yeah, just look at that. Yeah, it's not good. And that is why the maintenance on these cars is so important to be doing, because I didn't realise they were a problem until you look at it. So it's not just a matter of, oh, my car's running alright, stay on the trailer, go to the next meeting, because problems like that ruin your race day. Stay on the go or you're constantly working and stuff. It's always good just to go over it and get this stuff done, because it will save you a headache when you get to the track, a waste of money, all that travelling, everything. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. I'll see you in the next one.